In this video, we're going to cover the ESU 3 Employee AI Guidance that is coming out in 2026-2027. This video will cover the Technology Integration Committee that worked on this guidance. We'll look at how we can take the new board AI policy and put it into daily work practices. And then we'll share some additional resources. If you want to stick around at the end of the screen recording, I have some bonus content where I'll show you some of the core tools that you have available for you as an employee, and then some additional tool support for other tools that you might want to consider to keep your daily practices safe and secure. Overall, in this video, we hope that you'll be able to comprehend the employee AI policy through this provided guidance, and then understand the importance of pausing before you utilize AI and to critically think about how to do it safely, ethically, and effectively at work. So a little bit about the Technology Integration Committee. It is a committee of members across a variety of departments. There's approximately 20 members, and we are set with the purpose to provide recommendations or support when making decisions for new technology and to explore how it will work in a variety of our departments at ESU 3 in honor of our mission. It's also an opportunity to foster AI literacy for the employees, not only on the Technology Integration Committee, but for all employees across all the departments. The Technology Integration Committee meets 4 times a year, and we have subgroup work groups throughout the year that are working towards some of our goals. We were developed in 2024 to 2025 school year. And then that was the time that we were exploring different AI platforms, and we landed on Google Gemini as the best AI tool, as our core tool in ESU 3, as that's one of our tools within our ecosystem. The 25-26 school year, we really worked on looking at our current AI landscape at ESU 3. We conducted a survey across employees to identify what tools are most being used, how people are using it, maybe what concerns or challenges people are facing if they're not choosing to use it in their work or they are using it. Along with that, we compiled some case scenarios across the different departments of how people are utilizing it to support their work. And then through the year, we worked towards constructing employee guidance around the use of AI. One of the important things that we did as our subgroup work was looking at ways to consider it for safety and security is we knew that we did not want to limit anybody's ability to do their work, but we also knew that data and the work with our data is going to be critical. So this guiding principle is what helps us make the decisions in alignment to our ESU 3 goals and mission. So as a Technology Integration Committee, our guiding principle around this work is our goal is to empower ESU 3 employees to explore and innovate while ensuring that student, employee, and district data is handled with safety in mind. As we go through the guidance, you will see us living through those principles in some of the guidance that we provide. So let's look at how we can go from the new board AI policy and putting it into practice in your everyday work. So first, starting off with, we have a new website. And this website I will demonstrate a little bit later, but on the website you will see the new AI board policy that was adopted. And really, when I think about board policy, it's written in a level for the legal side, and it helps protect us as an organization so that if there's ever an unfortunate event that we have to go into a court case or something needs to be legally reviewed, the lawyers can protect us, can speak of it, and understand that we went through the appropriate measures to keep the organization protected. However, when I look at a board policy, I don't feel like it's written for me specifically as an employee in the language that I understand. So the next step is the handbook was adopted, and the language from the policy is translated into the handbook in a little bit more detailed version. And still, that doesn't really tell me how would I live this through my everyday. So our Technology Integration Committee worked together in our subgroups to develop some guidance. And a core document that I'll be sharing with you and how to access it is our guidance desktop guide that is meant to be a printable guide for you, front and back, that you could keep next to your desk. And as you're sitting down and making decisions daily, you can reference back to it And when you're referencing that guidance, you'll know that you are living in alignment to the AI board policy. I'll show you where to locate this guidance, and later I'll show you how to access this on the esu3.org website. Following this link, it will open up to our new AI guidance site. On the AI guidance site, you will see that desk guide, and we'll be reviewing the different components of this desk guide in relation to the AI policy. The AI policy talks about approved tools, stating that employees shall use only the ESU3 approved AI tools for work-related activities, and then explains what those approved tools might encompass. In our decision around what an approved tool is, we want you to consider, what do you currently use at work on a consistent basis? Most likely, the tools that you are currently using are going to be on the approved tools list. It's going to be more around how you're using it and what you're inputting into those AI tools. Reviewing the approved tools guidance, there are 2 tiers. In Tier 1 core tools, they are the Google Workspace for Education, Canva for Education, and Zoom for Education. Those 3 tools are offered to all ESU3 employees. It is important that you access them using your official ESU3 Workspace account credentials. Some employees have a personal version of Google or Canva or Zoom. When you're working at ESU3, we do not want you to utilize your personal license for those. We want you under the ESU3 license. We recommend to use mostly those core tools as your primary tools when you're utilizing AI. As we have reviewed them, we've looked at their company policies, and they do not use anything that you input into their AI tools to inform their machines and to build their models and improve their models. Another factor that we were looking at is that their company policies have a level of data protection that are FERPA and COPA compliant. We do not want to limit other tools that possibly are really supportive of your work. We call those the Tier 2 allowed with caution. It's going to be important that you understand that those digital tools are allowed, but it's what you put into them that we want you to consider. The access method that you should use is your ESU3 Workspace account credentials if you're asked to log in or create an account for those, but do not connect your Google Drive to those Tier 2 tools. There is a wide variety of tools that either are AI platforms or they're embedded AI within their platform, even if AI is not their core process. Even if AI is not the core of what that company is focused on. Some examples might be AI platforms like ChatGPT or Copilot or Perplexity, or it might be platforms that have AI integrated into them like Adobe and Padlet. This is not an exhaustive list, but just a list to give you some examples. What we want to caution you about is that you can use this for general work use, but it does require that you consider what you're putting into it in your prompts, your attachments, and that you're not connecting it to your Google Drive. Some items that you want to consider around that is that they are using what you input into it to train their public AI models, or they might be taking those and utilizing a third party where we don't know what that third party is doing with what you're putting into it. They also oftentimes don't have the data protection of FERPA and COPA compliance within it. The next part of the guidance covers the AI policy around compliance with policies and data protection. And what we want you to consider is, what do you need to think about when you sit down and work with a tool that might have AI capabilities? And sometimes if it's embedded into one of the platforms that you like to use, it may be that you're not even understanding that there is AI embedded inside it, or they maybe update their platform and then AI is a part of it. So we want you to consider that the approved ones in the green, the Google Workspace, the Zoom for Education, and Canva for Education, we still want you to only input the least amount of the below types of data if absolutely essential. Personally identifiable information, otherwise known as PII, those private things that might be for students or staff members that you would not want to input into them. If it is absolutely important towards the output, we want you to minimize as much as possible. So if it is critical maybe to have something around exploring data and it maybe has the employee names associated with it, only put in the staff names and strip out all the other data. Confidential and sensitive information. We want you to be very careful about putting it in there, even if it has the FERPA, COPA compliance, and the data support around not training their models. Strip out anything that is not needed. And then copyrighted materials. Perhaps you're working with a district and they have a specific curriculum that they've adopted and you're wanting to utilize some of the curriculum features in synthesizing things or creating things. It would be most safe to do that in the core tier 1 instead of doing it in a tier 2 optional tool. Now in the tier 2 ones, it's important that you never input, upload, or expose the personally identifiable information, anything confidential and sensitive, or any copyrighted materials. Hopefully that guidance will help you determine when you're sitting down and you're about to prompt something or attach something or connect something that you're thinking about, what tool am I in? Am I in one of the core tier 1 tools because I'm working with some confidential and sensitive information and I'm making sure that my Google Drive is only connected to the tier 1 tools? Or am I doing something that really is just about maybe brainstorming, asking for ideas, generating an image for me? That would be perfectly appropriate in either of the approved tools categories, tier 1 or tier 2. It comes down to when you're inputting anything of sensitivity that you want to stop, pause, and consider, okay, I really need to be in my tier 1 core tools. Some things that are not approved in the board policy, it says that you're only allowed to use approved tools. So our not approved guidance is no personal accounts. And you have to be careful about that because if you're maybe looking at your Google Drive and Gmail and you've gone into your personal one on your device before, it sometimes will revert you back to the personal one and you might think you're in your ESU 3 one. So you want to be careful about maybe only accessing your personal one in an incognito window or in a completely different browser, or maybe not on your personal or on your work device at all. And then IST at any time can identify specific threats. So if something out there maybe a different company maybe has a breach in security, or there's some out there that they know are going to be dangerous on our organization devices, at any time they can revoke access to those systems, and then those would not be approved to use. One thing to know is that our IST department uses a managed detection response, otherwise known as MDR. So in the background, they're keeping an eye on all of our devices for any malicious processes that might be trying to get into our organization as a threat, and they'll be able to block or stop them on the system. It will alert them. So as you're doing your work, you can know that if you're typically in a basic tier 1 core tool, there's not going to be an issue. But knowing that there's a lot of different tier 2 tools that might be out there, you can kind of ease your mind by knowing we do have some cybersecurity things in the back end in place. The next portion of the board policy and handbook covers ethical use and accountability. And on our guidance document, we have a section for professional standards and accountability. And when we're looking at this area, it is going to be in alignment to our ESU 3 standards of ethical and professional performance for professional employees that you can find in the board policy document that will be linked on our webpage through this document. We're utilizing the C framework that comes from AI for Education, and that covers the acronym for SEE, considering ways to be safe, ethical, and effective when using AI. In alignment to our board policy and handbook, some items for being safe is verify everything. Do not assume that everything is going to be accurate. Treat it as a draft. Consider before you even prompt what you're hoping for the output to be. Review for accuracy and appropriateness. And if you're going to be using AI generated content, ensure that you're reviewing it with the human eye and judgment before using, distributing, or publishing it. When you're considering ethics, we want you to practice responsible and transparent innovation. So as you're considering it, one item around ethics is considering this sustainability. When you're utilizing AI, it is going to have an impact on our earth and the resources. So think thoughtfully around when you're utilizing it. When you're prompting for text in a simple prompt, it's going to not use as much of the resources as if you are asking it to do deep research, video creation, image creation. So we want you to consider responsibly, is this the best use of AI at this time? Is it going to make my output of my work more efficient or effective for our districts? And then also considering about being transparent about the use of your AI, sharing with coworkers what's working for you, how you're utilizing it. If you come across something that you're now going to turn that into a public-facing work for a district, such as a service or something that you're presenting or a report that you're constructing, be transparent about the way AI played a role in it. We do have some sample disclosure statements linked on our website that you can utilize, and you can put it at the bottom of a report, slide deck, so that others can see how you're utilizing AI in that work, so that you can be transparent around that. Another guide item is effectively using it. So make sure that you're using that human in the loop, the human judgment, the human expertise. So it's great to brainstorm and draft and refine your work, but always have that judgment in the front seat. AI tools are really known to sometimes include some discrimination or bias in the output, and we want you to consider what might be the potential downstream effects to other humans if that is a case. So don't rely exclusively on the AI generated output. Really consider what maybe you're putting into it that might increase the likelihood of discrimination or bias. And as you're reviewing it, it should never be the AI making the final decision involving student services, discipline, employment matters, evaluations, legal compliance, or financial determinations. That final decision should always be made by the human for whatever final decision, service, or product you have. The last thing to note, according to our policy and the employee handbook, is that all AI-assisted work products created within the scope of your employment remains the sole property of ESU 3. Closing up the policy to practice, we want you to know and recognize that there is an evolving AI landscape. We're learning a lot. We will be revising guidance as we learn more. You are learning a lot. A lot is changing in our organization and in society around AI, and keeping up with it is really hard. So as the board policies and these guidelines do change to address new technology capabilities and security standards and regulatory updates, our Technology Integration Committee is working closely with the A team at ESU 3 so that we can update and keep things updated, and any changes we make will be communicated on that ESU 3 website along with the guidance document and communicated to staff if major changes to the guidelines happen. We do have some additional resources for you to review. So if you access that the employee AI guidance, one area that you can go is at esu3.org and scroll all the way down to the bottom. You'll see the AI guidance link to quickly find it. We also have additional links on the website. You can access that guidance document so that you can print it out front and back and have it right next to you when you're working. We have the board AI policy and employee handbook for you to review. We have the full C framework, which is a wonderful tool if you want to build your own AI literacy. And it does cover a lot around the different things to consider when you're working with AI. So if you want to build up your own AI literacy, that's a wonderful framework to take a look at. We have the sample disclosure statements that you could consider using or refining for your public-facing work. We have an AI glossary if you want to uncover some of the terminology that might be in the policy and handbook that maybe has more of a legal sound to it and you're not sure what that is. And then we do have our ESU3 TV YouTube channel that has video tutorials, which will have this video along with some training videos around how to utilize some of the AI tools that you have accessible to you. If you have additional questions or you're considering how could your department get professional learning around this or your small group, please reach out to anybody listed here as part of our Technology Integration Committee members and the subgroups working on this, as well as providing some professional learning around it. Now, if you want to stick around just a little bit, I'm going to show you and demonstrate some of the information that I've been sharing along with our core tools and our Tier 2 additional tools and some safety things to consider. Otherwise, if you're finishing watching this screen recording, that is completing the overall AI guidance. So if you're going to stick around, I'm going to show you again how can you locate that website and then what are some of the things that you can do to stay safe. So looking at that website, I had mentioned that you could go into the website itself through accessing it through the link, but I want you to know at the bottom of all of our ESU3.org web pages, you can find the AI guidance down in the blue bar at the bottom, and that will direct you to this page anytime you want to find it. Over here are the additional links that I had mentioned. And then we're going to talk a little bit through some bonus content, starting with some of your Tier 1 core tools and what they have available to you. So I'm going to demonstrate how to get to the different tools within your Google Workspace for Education that are AI capable. And two of the tools that I'll be demonstrating quickly is how to access Gemini and how to access Notebook. Gemini Notebook and Gemini are two of the platforms built into Google Workspace for Education. However, you will see that there are some other additional tools baked into all of the other applications. You'll find some Gemini items within Classroom, within Forms, within Gmail, and they'll continue to add to them. This is our Tier 1 core tool across our full ESU3 ecosystem that we recommend. The items that we really want you to pay attention to is that it offers you data protection. It does not train AI model on your input. It's FERPA-COPA compliant, but we do want you to recognize that it is not HIPAA compliant. So you need to be careful with medical records. You would not be including them in your Google Workspace for Education. I'm in my Google Workspace. I'm logged in under my ESU3 account. In my apps launcher, I can access Gemini, and I can access Notebook LM, which will soon be called Gemini Notebook. I also know that I have some features of AI available to me in different areas, such as Forms. I see it in Classroom. You might see it baked into your Gmail. When I open up Gemini, there's a couple things to know as you're in your Google Gemini, is that it's not training anything from your input. The other thing is when you're logged in, you can also safely go into the settings, connected apps, and you can toggle on utilizing your Google Workspace. That allows you, when you make a chat, to be able to add things from your Google Drive. When you're in your Tier 1 core tools, that's safe to do, to add those connections. The other things that you might want to explore that are accessible to you is Notebook LM. And in Notebook LM, you have access to a variety of opportunities where you can create a notebook. And in that notebook, you can upload your own sources, do chats that will be specific to those sources, and you can create a variety of learning tools that makes that information more accessible. Those are two great tools for you to use as an employee. Canva for Education and Zoom for Education are other tools available that are protected in Tier 1 core tools. We're going to look at some Tier 2 tools. These are some additional tool tips that you can consider when you're working with other AI platforms or platforms that have AI integrated into them. First, we recommend that you create an account and log in with your ESU3 login for those tools, and understand that you have some capabilities in the settings to increase your data protection. In those, you can change your settings so that it sometimes does not train on your input if they have that available to you. And we want you to never allow connections to Google Drive on those tier 2 additional tools. So as we go through this, I'm going to model a couple ways that you can stay a little bit safer. I'm going to access my ChatGPT. I do have it logged in under my ESU3 account because I'm going to be utilizing it for some of my work. One tip for you is you can Google what safety features should I turn off and on my ChatGPT account. And it will sometimes give you some ideas around turning it off. Notice that this is an AI overview. And sometimes it's going to go out and it's going to find information from other people. So you might double check that it's actually accurate. But this will help you decide, okay, what might I be able to turn on and off? So connected apps, I'm going to make sure that my Google Drive isn't connected on there. And then I can also go into settings and data controls and turn off so that my personal chats are not used to train OpenAI's future AI models. So if you're utilizing ChatGPT, I utilize it a lot for my image design sometimes. So I'm going to show you how you can go into your settings. And then oftentimes I have to go searching and looking for them. So usually I'll Google, okay, where is my setting to turn off inside here? And it said that I could go into my data controls, and where it says improve the model for everyone, I'm going to turn that off. I do not want them using all of my inputs to support the improvement of their model. The other thing that I'm going to double check is that I don't have anything connected in here. It might be under plugins. I don't have anything connected in there. I don't see a way to connect my Google Drive in here, but I want to make sure that my Google Drive is not connected in here. You could go through a variety of these things to take a look at making sure that it's set up in the way that you want it set up. But the main one is to turn off that it's using your information and input to train their models. The other one I'll show you is Perplexity. And again, I went into Google and said, what safety features should I turn off and on in my Perplexity account? They also have a space where it's AI data retention. In my profile icon under settings and preferences, I can toggle it off. I also want to make sure that I'm not using my Google Drive within Perplexity. So I do utilize Perplexity and I have it under my ESU3 account. I happen to have a pro account for some of the work that I've been doing. So inside there, I can go into my settings, and under my settings, it said to look under preferences. And then under preferences, I have to go searching, and under this artificial intelligence area, there's this AI data retention. It allows Perplexity to use my search to improve AI models. I want to make sure that that's turned off, so I have that toggled off. And then I will say that under connectors, I look and I can discover connectors, but I don't have any current connections. But they do have the capability for Google Drive to be a connection, and I'm not going to do that. I actually did do that for a while and then realized, wow, that is really putting some content that I might have in my Google Drive and not be aware of that has sensitive information, and exposing it to a company that is not promising to give me any data protection. So I have that disconnected on there. I'll do one more. Let's take a look at Padlet. I use Padlet quite often, and it's not an AI specific platform, but it does have AI features built into it. So I went in and said, how can I make sure that I have all my settings for AI to be safe? And so there is not a setting to toggle off for AI training because Padlet automatically protects the data by default. It does not use the personal data to input the AI models. However, when I did a little bit deeper digging on this, it did share with me in their help section a concerning item. So under their Padlet intelligence, the AI that's embedded inside that, under privacy and security area, it says that their Padlet intelligence, the PI, is powered by a third-party AI service. The only information we can send to it is the contents of your board. Well, if I don't realize what I'm uploading into my Padlet boards, if I'm uploading sensitive content, it's going to a third-party AI service, not just a Padlet. And I don't know who that third party is. So that is why it lives as a tier 2 additional tool that you would never input anything such as private information, copyrighted information. So when I go into Padlet, I can go into my settings, and under my settings in Padlet, I don't have any way to toggle off for the data. But one thing that I'm going to make sure of is under integrations, I am never going to connect my Google Drive, and I am never going to upload anything that falls in our ESU 3 guidance as something that we would want to keep protected. I'm hoping that quick little demonstration helps you understand some of the ways that you can protect your important data that you work with. All of our roles are slightly different. So some people might be working with more sensitive information and others not very often. But that guidance is to help you decide on a daily basis what you're going to be able to do with AI here at ESU 3. We want you to explore and innovate, but always keeping safety of our student and staff information in mind, which takes intentional thinking before you sit down to use your technology tools. Thank you for watching this video, and again, reach out to us with any support help you might need.